Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline.net. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey, Nico, do you care to explain your overall opinions on the coaching staff for the New Jersey Devils and whether you want to run it back with them next year? No comment. Hey, Lindy, will you be back as the head coach for the Devils? We're all being reevaluated. Oh boy, we have a lot to discuss in this episode. Buckle up.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Elliott scores! Oh, Steven stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here on the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play-by-play announcer, and also Devils writer for Pucks and Pitchforks, Trey Matthews. First and foremost, I apologize for the echo right now. I'm currently in the process of moving out of my college room, so there's a lot less furniture and other objects for the sound to bounce off of. So yeah, I apologize for that, but on to business. Two big things. Speaking of college, I am now an official college graduate. I walked this past Sunday, got my diploma and everything. It's a bittersweet moment. Enjoyed my undergrad years. Nice to celebrate with family, friends, and colleagues. And I don't know what the future has in store, but I'm ready for a new challenge. I'm ready for a new chapter in my life. I think I'm ready to take on the world. I'll keep you guys in the loop. So yeah, just giving you guys my life update in that regards. And two, it is now officially the start of the Stanley Cup playoffs, but translation for this show, it is now the start of the offseason for the New Jersey Devils. So like I've been saying the past couple of episodes, it's certainly been a roller coaster of a season that ended up seeing a lot of injuries and COVID-related issues, and it's also a season in which we could possibly see a change of leadership behind the bench. I told you guys that I would wait until exit interviews began before discussing Lindy Ruff's situation, whether or not he'll be back, because right now it seems as though the Devils are still 50-50 on his job security. So before discussing the matter further, I have a special announcement. I am doing a giveaway on Locked On Devils' Twitter page. All you have to do is like the tweet and show me that you're subscribed to the show's YouTube page, and I'll enter your name in the raffle for a bunch of Devil stickers. I will link it in the description of this episode. The winner will be announced in about a day. So once again, doing a giveaway on Locked On Devils' Twitter page. Link will be down in the description, so please check it out. It's my token of appreciation for you guys helping me reach 100 subscribers on YouTube. So let's continue to grow the YouTube brand. So once again, giveaway on Twitter. Check it out. So exit interviews have officially begun, and there's been some interesting things said to the media, to say the least. So obviously, I wasn't invited to the exit meeting interviews, but I know some people who were. So similar to last year, I'm going to read some of their key takeaways from the event, and I will react to them and give you guys my overall thoughts, analysis, whatever the case might be. You guys seem to enjoy it when I did it last year, so I decided to bring it back once again. However, we're going to go a little bit out of order because the big news going into the exit meeting interviews was what's going to happen to Lindy Ruff, because at the time of recording, Lindy Ruff has already conducted his exit meeting interview, and obviously there have been players who have gone before him and given their respective interviews. But for right now, the big story is what Nico Hischier said in his exit meeting interview that kind of broke the Twitter sphere for Devils hockey. And then right now we're focusing on Lindy Ruff and his overall job security, because that was the main takeaway that I've been discussing the last couple episodes, which was I was going to wait until exit meetings occurred for Lindy Ruff, so that way I can get a better assessment as to what's going to happen to him. And I've been discussing with a few other Devils personalities as to what might happen to Lindy Ruff these next upcoming weeks, especially with the Detroit Red Wings recently firing their head coach, Jeff Blashill. That kind of got Devils Twitter talking a little bit more, saying, is Lindy Ruff next? And a lot of people were just waiting until Lindy Ruff did his exit meeting interview, so that way we can get a better gauge as to what could potentially happen. Because if Lindy Ruff says that he knows that he's coming back as the Devils head coach, then I think the writing's on the wall. I don't think he has any reason to lie, but unfortunately, he doesn't even know, and Nico Hischier also gave a pretty big dead giveaway as to what could potentially happen to him. So we're going to talk about that momentarily, but first I want to give you guys the recap as to what I've been talking about the last couple of episodes in regards to Lindy Ruff, and then I'm finally going to give you guys my opinion as to whether or not I believe Lindy Ruff should be fired. So my overall assessment on Lindy Ruff is that I believe he's been a pretty decent head coach these last couple of years. I had my doubts when he was first hired. I felt like there were better coaches available, especially like with Peter Laviolette, Gerard Gallant, because I heard that they also interviewed for the head coaching position at the time for the New Jersey Devils, and the Devils elected to go with Lindy Ruff, and I just felt as though Ruff runs a system and he runs sort of a playbook that's outdated, which was why he kind of struggles with success in the modern NHL, but he was more successful during his early tenure as a head coach. But now we fast forward a couple seasons and the young guys have really developed well under Lindy Ruff, because I gave you guys a list of players who had their best offensive performance under his guidance and tutelage during the course of this season. And the list is pretty long. It's not just a few players. Yes, we talk about Jesper Bratt. Yes, we talk about Jack Hughes. Yes, we talk about Nico Hischier. But at the same time, there are a few other players who have also had pretty decent offensive production, and we don't really give Lindy Ruff that much credit, because arguably Miles Wood and Pavel Zacha as well had their best season last year. So that's another thing to add to the list, which is he was able to get the most out of Pavel Zacha. And even though Pavel Zacha's days as a Devil are pretty outnumbered at this point, you still got to give it up for Lindy Ruff for getting the most out of Zacha when we've pretty much have been losing hope for him these past few years. And the same with Miles Wood. We were able to get a lot of contribution last year from Miles Wood. Obviously, he was hurt this year and was only able to suit up in a few games, but still, that's something to look forward to next year. So my overall thing for Lindy Ruff is that I don't think it's the X's and O's. It's not his play calling. It's not his execution. It's the fact that I felt as though he wasn't put into a favorable position, because let's face it, COVID has certainly not made things any easier for people like Lindy Ruff, because he doesn't have a set lineup. Because let's face it, one of the main issues this year for the New Jersey Devils, one of their main downfalls, similar to a lot of teams, was their COVID outbreak, because they had players left and right going onto COVID protocol. Last year, if you recall, their season had to be shut down for at least 2 weeks because at least 90% of their team was exposed to COVID some way or another. But nonetheless, that has certainly made things a little harder for Lindy Ruff, because last year they can't really practice full-fledged. They can't really do film sessions. They can't really do a lot of things as a group, and that's certainly an awkward position if you're a coach like Lindy Ruff, because how are you supposed to develop the players in the right direction if you're unable to do a lot of the normal stuff? So I feel as though Lindy Ruff hasn't been put into a favorable position, and then COVID aside, it's just like he's had to deal with a lot of injuries as well. So remember that loss we took at the hands of the Carolina Hurricanes just a few days ago? If you thought that we were going to upset the Carolina Hurricanes or put up a much better fight, honestly, you're delusional. What else did you anticipate? Because the Devils were missing a lot of key guys. Subban didn't play. Hischier didn't play. Hughes didn't play. Wood didn't play. Siegenthaler didn't play. I know I'm forgetting a few other players, but come on, let's be realistic. There was no way we were going to beat the Carolina Hurricanes with our depleted roster. Just no way. It wasn't going to happen. So a lot of people were blaming Lindy Ruff because we ended up getting blown out by the Carolina Hurricanes. They didn't even play their best players, and their worst is still better than our best at that point. So I'm not trying to ruminate on it, but if you thought that we were going to beat the Carolina Hurricanes, you're honestly delusional, because the Carolina Hurricanes are a Stanley Cup contending team, and they just beat the Boston Bruins silly in Game 1 of the playoffs. So my overall assessment is that you can't really blame Lindy Ruff in that aspect. You can't blame Lindy Ruff for the special teams execution. You can't blame him for the goaltending, because Lindy Ruff's job is just to roll with what he has and just try to put it all together. And unfortunately, he hasn't been able to do so, just because, like I just said moments ago, he hasn't been put into an ideal situation. And I feel as though that's doing him a huge disservice. So before you guys get on him, I feel as though we need to give him a chance. COVID restrictions have started to die out a little bit more. The team is starting to come back fully healthy. So if we give him a system in which the players are back to full strength and COVID restrictions are, little to nothing, then Lindy Ruff has a better chance of just utilizing the tools that are provided to him. So my overall thing for Lindy Ruff is, and I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, I know for anyone who listened to the past couple episodes, I know I'm repeating myself at this point, but I feel as though it's not the X's and O's for Lindy Ruff. I just feel as though my main concern is just his longevity. Is he a long-term solution? Is he the best coach out there? No, but at the same time, I feel as though we have a good opportunity with them right now because someone commented on the last video saying that the young guys are going to develop no matter what, with or without Lindy Ruff, and that might be true, and I will give you that. However, look, they're developing pretty well under him right now, so you really don't really have anything to compare it to because right now they're really thriving. Jack Hughes is thriving despite not playing in the full 82-game season. Nico Hischier is thriving because one of the X factors I gave for Hischier is that he has to play in more games to just show everyone what he's capable of doing. And aside from his rookie year, he played in the most games that he's played in the NHL. And it should be no surprise that he had his best season statistically, and he's starting to come into full fruition as a captain. Jesper Bratt is probably the most underrated player in the NHL, and we kind of have a baby big three going on right now. So that's what we have right now with our young core. They're just a young, inexperienced big three who could do big things. And if we get a goalie, if we get another veteran player, then I think the sky's the limit, especially now if Dougie Hamilton is able to come back fully healthy from his facial fracture and just recover over the summer, then maybe Dougie Hamilton can get back into trying to contend for a Norris Trophy, whatever the case might be. So overall, yes, I get the frustration. I get that you're not really too thrilled with Lindy Ruff, but the thing is, like, I think we need to pump the brakes a little bit and just look at it from a different perspective, which is this really on Lindy Ruff, or we're just not giving him an ideal situation to thrive in? And I feel as though, and this is now the answer that I'm going to give you guys, I personally don't think we should fire Lindy Ruff, quite honestly. Now, the Devils should still look at potential new candidates, but I don't feel as though it should be a priority to relieve Lindy Ruff of his duties. Now, I get that I might be alone in all this. I get that sources are pretty much indicating that Lindy Ruff's days as a head coach for the Devils are outnumbered, but at the same time, I'm just like, let's not make this a priority. Let's slow it down a little bit. There's other aspects that we can do to fix our roster to put us in a better position next year, but I just feel as though relieving Ruff of his duties should not be priority number 1 or number 2 or number 3, wherever the case might be. Shouldn't be a top priority at all. It should be like bottom tier of the list, and I feel as though he's just being scapegoated for the dismal season that we had, but people are not really looking at it from a new perspective. So there's my answer. I personally don't believe Lindy Ruff should be fired. I get that's a controversial hot take, but at the same time, I think I backed up my points pretty well. So I'm just giving you guys that overall assessment. I'm going to leave it there. So we'll talk about Nico Hischier and his exit interview that basically broke the entire Twitter world for Devils hockey. And then we'll talk about Lindy Ruff and his uncertainty of returning as the head coach and what does that potentially mean. But first, it's time for the first live read this morning, and it comes from our friends at BetOnline. So BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your sports betting stats and info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including this year's basketball playoffs and the start of the MLB season. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sport wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Please remember to gamble responsibly and visit our friends at Locked On Bets for all your betting needs there as well. And now, the second live read comes from our friends at Built Bar. So, summer is coming, and with summer, you're going to need some food on the go. Built Bars are the perfect snack to take you and your family on vacations. Throw them in your bags, in your kids' backpacks. Make sure that everyone has a bar so you're fueled for the summer adventures. The best part about Built Bars, they're healthy and delicious. No more sacrificing delicious food or health. With Built Bar, you can have both, and it's easy. And all you have to do is go to Built.com and order now. All Built Bars and Puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means with Built Bar, you could get something that's healthy and actually enjoy eating it. So have you ever tried the Puffs? Well, I'm going to give you hip to it. They have so many delicious flavors, including like banana cream pie and even churro. And who doesn't want a protein bar that tastes like a churro? I love churros, and they're only 140 calories. So you can sign me up for that, and I'm going to sign you up for one as well. So Built Bar makes sure that everything is good and that there's something for everyone. You know what my favorite flavor is? I love churro, just like I said. So most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, and the difference is night and day. So the offer is go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and you'll get 15% off your order. Again, Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Okay, so Nico Hischier, on the day of his exit meeting interview, decided to break Twitter because here's what Nico Hischier had to say in regards to having the same coaching staff for next season. He said, "I'm not going to comment on that." And he also added, "The coaching staff has lots of experience. They worked with us every day to give us the experience they have." So as we all know, throughout the course of the season, Hischier has had no problem of expressing his opinion because if you rewind a little bit, go back to January, after the Devils lost in a horrendous fashion to the Arizona Coyotes, he expressed his frustration to the press. He dropped a couple F-bombs, and the next day the Devils had practice and he didn't go to it. So Hischier has no problem of just saying what's on his mind. Just recently, in the final game of the year, the Devils dropped it to the Detroit Red Wings, and he was a little disappointed that the Devils weren't able to come away with the win and at least give the fans a better way to close out the season. And he was obviously frustrated in that regard. So Hischier has just been expressing his mind more as the season has progressed, and I like that because Hischier, at the beginning of the year, we were just talking about he's more of a lead by example type of player, and we were saying that Jack Hughes might be the more vocal leader, but I'm glad that Hischier is growing as a player and as a person. But when looking at his comments, when your captain is saying no comment to a question like that, that's usually never a good sign. So I want to be fair to Nico here because the question was framed coaching staff, not Lindy Ruff. So before we all get excited, before we all lose our minds, Nico Hischier is referring to the coaching staff, which can mean a variety of things. One, it could mean the obvious that Lindy Ruff is out the door and will be relieved of his duties. Or it could be that Lindy Ruff stays, but a couple of his staff goes, which is also another possibility that might be brought up to the organization. So I think Hischier is just aware that there might be a change or two amongst the coaching staff, or maybe it's being heavily talked about, but I feel as though if something big were to happen, it would have happened already, if that makes sense. So I would take that comment with a grain of salt, to be honest, because keep in mind the tweet and the question being framed was coaching staff, not Lindy Ruff in particular, because Jack Hughes talked specifically good about Lindy Ruff. Same with PK Subban, just a couple of players who have already done their exit meeting interviews. So my overall assessment is that we just need to not lose our minds in that regards. And I don't think this is like a dead giveaway that Lindy Ruff might be out the door. I just think this is Nico Hischier just trying to be a little careful because this is a sensitive topic, something that should be kept in-house, and something that's being heavily discussed, I'm sure, because I'm sure the Devils are just trying to look at every avenue in this regards and maybe see, like, is it best for them to, like, look at a new head coach in that regards, or maybe this is also a quite the possibility that's been brought to my attention that Lindy Ruff might be given a new role within the Devils organization, like a front office type of role. But that's something I'll save for tomorrow's episode. But ultimately, I would take these comments from Nico Hischier with a grain of salt. Not saying don't listen to Nico Hischier, but I'm just saying look at how the question was framed, look at how he decided to answer it, and just think of the possibilities as in, like, maybe Hischier doesn't even know what's going on. So not to, like, say anything that can get him in trouble potentially, he decided to just take the safe route and just say no comment. Obviously, that blew everything out of proportion, but I don't think there was any ill intent from Nico Hischier to blow up the Twitter sphere on the Devils side of things, quite honestly. So let's just relax in this regards. Now, I do have to look at both sides of the coin because Lindy Ruff is also unsure about his future with the Devils organization. He has also completed his exit meeting interview, and also something I found interesting was that the Devils pushed back his exit meeting interview by half an hour and then I believe another half an hour. So ultimately he was able to do his interview, but it definitely got people talking, saying like, well, the Devils announced that he's been fired. So that also got me thinking a little bit as well. But ultimately, like I just said, he was able to do his interview, and he was asked, would he return as a Devils coach? And he said, all coaches are being reevaluated. So he didn't say yes, but he didn't say no either. But I think he's also unsure with what the direction the Devils are going to take the organization in, and him just saying like he was unsure was probably the smart way to do it, because I don't think the coaches are being reevaluated. I think the Devils are just trying to look at all possible avenues as to what could happen. And another thing that could happen is that they fire a couple of their staff and Lindy Ruff takes on a front office type of role, but that's just a rumor that's making its way around the internet, so I wouldn't read too deep into it. But ultimately, my main concern for Ruff is that is he here for the long haul? And here's what he had to say in terms of being the head coach for the youngest NHL team and how it energized him. He said, "There's a lot of games where it put a smile on my face just with some of the comments you can come up with as useful comments. There is a lot to like about our young guys," and I'd have to agree with them. He said he was impressed with the bulk of the guys got to. He challenged them to get to a place, and he's going to tell you that a bulk of these guys want to get to the next place, and they're tired of losing. And quite honestly, I'm tired of losing as well. But ultimately, it's just like I need Ruff here for another few years. Like if he is thinking about retirement, then it's time for him to stop right now, because that's my thing is like we cannot keep playing musical chairs with our leadership. We can't be doing it with our general manager. We can't be doing it with our coaching staff. We need an established system for the sake of our young guys. And that's my main concern with Lindy Ruff is like, is he here for the long haul? Like, is he here for another few years, or is this pretty much it after his contract is up? So it's one of the reasons why I hope that the rumor that he might take on a front office position is true, because I don't want to see him like kicked to the curb, because he's done a lot for the organization the past couple years. Like I said, the big thing is just developing our young guys and putting them into a better place to be successful NHL players, because now we have sort of a mini big three. So that's the main takeaway I've learned from my experience with Lindy Ruff being the head coach, which is, yes, we're not winning. And yes, I really want us to win more. But ultimately, it's just like I think our young guys are developing in the right direction. We have a lot of excitement. We have a lot of young guys in our pipeline. We have a lot of guys in Utica, University of Michigan with Luke Hughes. So there's a lot to look forward to in terms of the overall development from the New Jersey Devils. And I feel like Lindy Ruff has done a pretty solid job in developing all of our young guys. But for right now, he's not even sure what the future holds. And I think he's just waiting for the Devils to make a decision. And obviously, with what the Detroit Red Wings have done, it definitely, can get Lindy Ruff just sitting on pins and needles. But ultimately, I feel as though if something big were to happen to him right now, I felt like as though it would have happened already. So ultimately, guys, these are my first few reactions from the first few exit meeting interviews. I know I went a little out of order, but just Lindy Ruff and his overall job security, that was the main question going into these interviews, which was what's going to happen to him, what does the future hold, and I wanted to give you guys my opinion. And so you've heard it. I don't feel as though he should be fired, but at the same time, just look at other candidates just to be safe, and we'll go from there. And Nico Hischier and his comments about essentially saying no comment, I wouldn't read too deep into it. Lindy Ruff seems a little uncertain about his future as well, but let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with Nico Hischier? Do you think he should have said something about the coaching staff similar to what Jack Hughes and PK Subban and a few other players have done so far? Or do you think it was smart for him to just keep it honest or just be conservative, whatever the case might be, whatever avenue he was trying to take it down? I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. So leave a comment down below. Hit me up on Twitter at TreyMatt4, at Locked On Devils. Remember, doing a giveaway. Link will be in the description. And also, do you want Lindy Ruff back? Because I love hearing your guys' analysis and thoughts on that matter. So let me know what you guys think. As for today's episode, that's all the time I have for you guys. So there's my day one reaction of exit meeting interviews, and there's more to come this week. So continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day, New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening.